Hey, Geekscapists, welcome to a brand new Geekscape podcast. I'm Jonathan London, your host. If this is your first Geekscape, strap yourselves in for some pop culture talk, movies, video games, comic books, TV, all of the pop culture goodness that's fit to enter your noggin over the course of the next hour or so. This is actually not a one-on-one with a filmmaker, storyteller, comic book creator, video game actor. I like to talk to creatives, but the person I'm talking to is very much an expert in all things pop culture. He is an encyclopedia, human encyclopedia of comic book knowledge. And I invite him on here for a difficult task. We're talking about Kraven the Hunter in theaters now. Maybe not by the time you hear this. I don't think it did spectacularly well or amazingly, if you're catching the Spider-Man puns. Kraven the Hunter is the Aaron Taylor Johnson finale to the Sony Spiderverse Spider-Man adjacent villain anti-hero movies that was started by Venom. You got 2 Venom sequels. There's 3 Venom movies. You got the Morbius, you got the Madam Web, and now you got Kraven. And as the movie's released, you start to hear rumblings that this is the end of the line. So Ian and I are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the 6 films. We're specifically going to focus on Kraven the Hunter, which we have not reviewed yet on Geekscape. And for the most part, we're going to tell you what worked, what didn't, we'll compare it, contrast it to the comics. Kraven's a fantastic character. If you guys played the second Spider-Man game on the PS4, PS5, Kraven is a big bad in that one, and he's done really well. So that's a great Kraven story. There are a lot of amazing Kraven stories. Jam DeMatteis has actually been on Geekscape once or twice to talk about Kraven's Last Hunt, the iconic Kraven story from the comics. Kraven's a good character. Is this movie one that he deserves? We'll get into it. This is the Kraven the Hunter special. I don't think this is your last Geekscape of the year, because yesterday, almost with like zero fanfare, maybe if I was just like not a big nerd, I would have missed it, but or if I didn't have insomnia. But the What If series, it is in its 3rd season. As of the recording of this, there's 2 episodes out, and your boy likes to watch them at 3 a.m. when he can't sleep. So I've been watching that. There's so much geek media. I want to see Sonic 3, trying to negotiate that with Heidi and our daughter, and see when I can sneak off and see Sonic 3, because I love the first 2 Sonic movies. We got to talk Creature Commandos. It's awesome. Love the animated Creature Commandos, which just got renewed for a 2nd season. James Gunn and company are outdoing themselves on that one. The writing's just great. That first episode, I was like, okay, cool. I think I'm into this. But the 2nd episode, I'm like, I'm way into this, and it's only gotten better since. I love the Creature Commandos. And it's not even the only geek stuff on TV, because we have a Star Wars series. Damn. And one that's really, really fun. And there's one more thing that we have to talk about. And maybe Ian and I take a little aside. We talk about it. The Superman trailer, also from James Gunn. Doesn't that blow the lid off the whole DC universe on the big screen? Wow. I mean, did you ever think you'd see Guy Gardner on the big screen? Perfectly portrayed. Like perfectly portrayed. He looks like such a jerk, and he's got the amazing bowl cut, and it's just like, all right, here we go. That Guy Gardner is perfect. Mr. Terrific's perfect. All that stuff's terrific. And there's just so much to talk about. So don't think that we're slowing down going into the new year. All right, there's already guests lined up through January, February, so there's a lot of Geekscape coming down the pipe. All right, but we can't skip the Kraven. All the roads have led to this. Sony, you've made sure that we weren't going to miss the Kraven. It was a bold task. It really was. Ian and I pushed it off at least a week or so. Had to negotiate our schedules, but there we were. 2 lone middle-aged men in a theater alone watching Kraven the Hunter. There's a lot of good stuff in theaters, but we were watching Kraven the Hunter. In fact, Ian got to the theater first. He was in line for popcorn. He had the tickets. I had to talk the ticket woman into letting me go past her I said, my friend's already in there. He's in line for tickets. And Ian caught his eye, and Ian's like, do I need to come back and get you? And I was like, he already came in. He said he had 2 tickets, I think. And she's like, and I was like halfway to the tickets or to the concessions by then. And she stopped me and goes, wait, what movie are you seeing? And I did not want to yell it out loud in the theater. So I walked back to her. I got in close and I said, I'm seeing Kraven the Hunter. Because otherwise I would have been like halfway through concessions to the concession stand, and she'd be like, what movie are you going to see? And I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go see Wicked. I'm going to go see, I don't know, Mufasa. I'm going to go see Sonic 3. I'm going to go see any other pop culture stuff out there. I would have had to sit there in a crowded concession line and be like, I'm going to go see Kraven the Hunter. I'm one of 2 people here in Los Angeles watching Kraven the Hunter on a Saturday. Yeah. All right. Let's get to this. You guys, I'm going to run the theme song. This is the right place for you. All right. I'd say there's going to be spoilers coming. Who cares? All right, Geekscapists, it's time to start the show. And what a show it is. Yeah, baby. This is the Kraven the Hunter special. And wow, this movie. We've been threatening to do this review for a long time now. And I'm not going to go it alone. I'm not Kraven. I'm not that brave. So I'm bringing Ian in to talk about this film. Ian, we braved the Kraven the Hunter. This is a movie that Sony had been setting up for a long time, maybe as early as Venom's success, because Venom was a huge success, that first Venom film. And then it was slowly just like lesser returns on these Sony anti-hero films. And it seems like Morbius was a big hit, and then like smack to the whole plan. And then Madam Web was really
Morbius was a big hit, was something no one has said ever.
Yeah. It was a big like hit to the overall plan. And then Madam Web was the one where it was like, hey, guys, stop this. But Kraven was still in the way. It actually like switched release dates, I believe, or delayed it. And then here we are. The movie got. Do you think this movie got dumped in a crowded December? And here we are, just kind of like, all right, man, let's get it out in 2024 so we can.
I think that's likely. I think they knew it wasn't going to do well.
Yeah. I think the goodwill that they got from that first Venom movie and the good box office goodwill, because people do enjoy that first Venom movie. And Ian and I will have a ranking of those 6 Sony Spiderverse films. I think the goodwill just kind of like by the end of it is like, okay, like we're like, guys, stop doing this. That being said, and we'll get to the top 6 later, or the 6 rankings later, but like this is not the worst of this Spider-Man list Sony.
No. Well, you know what's interesting to me is I recall when we watched Morbius, I felt, I went and going, there's no reason for this movie, but we didn't hate it. It was just kind of cheesy, very 90s-ish, and it was fine, but it was not, it wasn't the most awful thing I've ever seen. There was just no reason for that movie, and it was silly in places, but it was fine.
I think Morbius got a disproportionate amount of hate because of it was fun to make fun of. The Morbin time meme went crazy. It's a film. It's an okay film. You released that movie in the 90s. It's not Blade. Blade's a great movie. But it's also not Batman and Robin.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like
Absolutely.
Batman and Robin is the one that killed it in the 90s.
Yes.
And superheroes didn't recover for a while until you started to see the X-Men. which wasn't that much longer, but Blade wasn't a superhero movie. Blade is not was not a comic book movie. Blade was not advertised as a comic movie. Blade was not marketed as a comic book movie. You could not do that after Batman and Robin. Blade was advertised as a horror vampire movie, action movie with an action star.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men are what brought back superheroes.
Totally.
So with this, X-Men leads to Spider-Man. Sony's now rocking. Amazing Spider-Man gives it a kick back. They're trying to do a little bit of the Dark Knight model with a bit of an anti-hero, vigilante Spider-Man who's got a chip on his shoulder. It's not Spider-Man. That runs kind of to ground on the second movie. But then you got this deal with Marvel, and the Tom Holland stuff is nothing but a success. Those movies are great. And Sony thinks that they got some currency they can spend. They're like, oh, cool. We got some stuff we can spend at the table. Let's see how much we can run this. Smart move starting with Venom. Most Spider-Man-like. He's the most popular of these anti-hero characters.
Now, and I've said from the get-go, I said, debatably with Venom, Venom had exposure in that third, Tobey Maguire movie. So maybe not as bad as some of the others, but generally I feel like exploiting the Spider-Verse without actually introducing the characters in a Spider-Man movie just felt silly to me. I get they have issues with it because of the Marvel overlap and what to do about that. And, and they've been really, I think, kind of confused about that. I think, people talked about it before. The answer that truly became obvious wasn't until No Way Home, right? Mm-hmm. Where there was clearly an appetite for the other versions. So I'm still scratched mad with why the hell not just throw Garfield in?
Yeah, Andrew Garfield versus
to me not doing it.
Yeah. Versus Venom,
and these others make him the official, Spider-Man of their universe because he already was.
I don't think Marvel can. I don't think Marvel, Disney. I don't think that deal allows that.
They can't use Spider-Man at all.
I mean, think about it. It's like what's the point of Sony? Who again? Remember, they were caught in that email leak. And they in Sony Japan, the technology company Sony Japan was like, remember that was that whole discussion in Hollywood and about like, why do we even have an entertainment division? Right. Why are we even making content? And because those emails got leaked in the whole during the it was during the strike, was it not? Yeah. And then the conversation was, is Sony going to sell Spider-Man back to Marvel? And the president of Sony was in a rough spot, and they made that deal with Marvel, which has been renegotiated since. But I think part of that deal is Sony, unless it's Sony Animation, Sony Live Action, Marvel's got to be involved if Spider-Man is in it.
I don't know. I don't know if the deal calling it that. I'm not sure.
Why wouldn't they do it under Garfield?
Calls it out that way, or it's the Tom Holland one. I'm not sure.
Why would they not then do it? Nothing would stop them from doing an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie. We would have gotten it 2-3 years ago.
Well, I don't know about 2-3 years ago. I think that it took No Way Home to make them realize it's really the way to go.
Okay, so let's talk. Because that being said, Venom was a big hit. That first Venom movie,
first one,
was a big actual surprise hit because people, I think, were already thinking, oh, there's no Spider-Man. What's the point of a Venom movie? The Venom movie comes out. You think the quality is what it is. We definitely reviewed it. We'll put it in the standings of the 6 films later on. But after the success of the Venom movie, you automatically greenlight a sequel. I understand why they greenlit a few of these. My big problem, and you might be like, Jonathan, that's nuts. There's no Spider-Man to build around. I don't understand why Venom did not become the Iron Man in a shared universe. There's no cohesiveness between all 6 of these films. I think there should have been. I think that they should have helped each other out. I think, and as silly as they were and as 90s-ish as they were, having Madame Web's mother in the jungle being bit by a spider that later gives her in vitro kid like powers. How is like a Kraven family member not in that jungle? At the same time, how is this not leading into like Tom Hardy?
One of these movies? I agree with you. I mean, look,
how is Morbius not one of the scientists in developing this stuff?
I think they made an attempt. I mean, look, it was the use of Michael Keaton's Vulture from the Tom Holland movies in Morbius was weird. Apparently,
it was really weird.
Well, apparently that movie, I mean, the release schedule between that and No Way Home changed.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to figure out a way to do that differently. I don't know. You know?
I think at the end of the day, this stuff lands on your on your lap. Let's say that you're working at Sony, you're pulling the strings. This stuff, you're not going to have Spider-Man. Let's say you look at the deal, you can't put Spider-Man in this movie, but you can use these anti-heroes. And there were plans for Silk. There were plans for Silk. There were plans for who's the Aranya character? The one that like we were going to get a Hispanic, you know, we're the reggaeton Spider-Man. Right. We're gonna get all these different Spider-Mans and not Spider-Man. Why don't you pull this stuff down and say
the Noir show's still happening, by the way?
Like, why don't you just take these things and actually write a plan? A full plan. You don't one-off these things to writers, right? And you know, Brock and Matt, who wrote Morbius and wrote on Madame Web, like that, they're friends of ours. But why don't you just make a designed plan, build it around Null, knowing that Venom is
I want to say something right now.
Guy.
Something you just said about a plan and the lack thereof. From what I heard, that Silk series that they went pretty far along in development actually had Ezekiel as the bad guy. At the same time they were doing Madame Web, that's what they were doing, and the two divisions didn't know.
Oh God! So it's almost like a Warner Brothers thing where they pit in the different independent studios against each other. Does that make sense? Like you end up with a Batman here and a Batman there, and what you hear about Warner Brothers is that, like, you know, and thank goodness James Gunn is like, and Peter Safran are now doing this thing, but like you start hearing that, you know, there's the CW superhero stuff, and then there's the film superhero stuff, and then you know it's really hard for them to have any kind of, you know, synergy. But I think the audiences have become spoiled in that way in this day and age. Like they want synergy, they want shared universes, and knowing you're not going to have Spider-Man in these movies, knowing that Venom's a big hit, what is the next day, that Monday morning, you don't walk in and say, okay, like what do we have on this Venom thing? We need a Thanos type character to build towards. We have Null. We've got this god of the symbiotes. We have Carnage we're going to do. Let's do Carnage. Let's do a couple other symbiotes. But, you know, these are spider, quote, infection type problems. Like, you know, this is a symbiote. Let's get a scientist in here. We have Michael Morbius. Great. Let's get that guy in here. All right. Now, what about some of the spider-like characters? Let's get Madame Web, who can see through the Spiderverse. If somebody came to me and said, hey, would you do Final Destination with superheroes? I'd be like, yeah, Final Destination with superheroes sounds great. Like where you have this kind of like ability to predetermine your fate. Oh, that sounds awesome. I'd probably greenlight that. Why wasn't Madame Web Final Destination with superheroes? Does that make sense? For cognitive powers, it just feels like that. Tonally, it feels like they're on the run. There's somebody hunting them. It feels like the pitch was Final Destination with superheroes. That sounds like a good pitch. That's not what that movie was.
No.
And then we got Kraven the Hunter. What's he hunting? He's not even hunting animals in this one. He's hunting men who hurt animals. It's a cool PETA movie, but this isn't Kraven the Hunter.
No, it's well Kraven, right?
Thanks, Disney. Not only that, but when you have Russell Crowe as his father, and Geekscape is, I want to give you the plot, but it's basically Kraven the Hunter hunts bad guys who hurt animals, and he got lion blood in a voodoo juice on him at the same time as a lion was attacking him because he was trying to protect his brother in the safari. Russell Crowe's their dad. They were hunting a lion so that Russell Crowe could, if you kill this legendary lion, you become the legend. The legendary lion attacks him. But all I'm saying is, like,
so wait, finish. So then you think it's like he's Lion Man, but then it seems like he has abilities of other animals.
He starts picking up crazy listening.
He's running around like he's running around like a gorilla a lot, right?
No, he's running alongside buffalo.
Yeah,
he's like super strength.
Or he's running with his arms down like a gorilla, right? And then he's jumping on walls and shit and scaling.
I don't see a lion scale a prison wall, but I saw Kraven do it.
I saw Kraven do it.
Dude, this guy put a lion in the Siberian like freaking cold. And a lion ain't gonna last. Kraven does, because he can commune with the wolves. Remember, the wolves
Yeah.
stop him.
Yeah.
He's escaping from Siberian prison.
Remember what I said? It was very Animal Man Vixen, right? He's just like it's the morphogenetic field, and
he's the Beastmaster. He's the freaking Beastmaster.
Yeah,
but he's not Kraven.
Yeah,
an interesting movie to me. And
the hunter is the hunter of men, because they're not going to do the. I mean, Kraven was. By the way, there is a cute little Easter egg about, his number, his prison number, inmate number 0864, which is when Kraven's first appearance was. That's important, because when you recognize that, this character was created in 1964. He's the big game hunter, and he was actually this celebrity, like it's like the sort of modern day equivalent is he's a reality show guy. That's what he was, and he's going to come hunt Spider-Man.
That was the first story.
And the idea was, here's the thing. He's not a bad guy. He's a celebrity hunting Spider-Man.
You get so mad.
Well, I'm saying that it's kind of interesting, right? Like, he's a celebrity. Like, he's this, and that was the idea of what a celebrity was then, So, I mean, it's sort of weird. So instead, they turn him into kind of the Punisher, right?
Yeah, he takes out the humans that hurt the animals. And our drug dealers and our like mobsters, of which his father's one of them.
Right.
When you saw Russell Crowe get cast, didn't you think he was going to be the original Kraven the Hunter, and this was going to be the younger Kraven? Because in the comics, recently they did a good storyline where
it was a while ago.
Well, they did it again in the most recent storyline, where you have two generations of Kravens, the original Kraven the Hunter, who died in Kraven's Last Hunt.
What they've done since is now it's a clone, and then the clone actually killed the son, so that it's
him
the
again.
Sort of original again. I mean, whatever. Because the son, for a while, Zimmerman did that miniseries. It was actually really funny. He was in Hollywood and stuff. But yeah, he was a little more noble and a little bit more of a good guy.
But having a Kraven and a father.
And then remember, there was also the daughter for a while, too. She's dead also. But
I thought they were going to do something where Russell Crowe was the original Kraven, and now there's a new Kraven. It's his son.
That would have been an
butt heads.
story.
But by the end of the movie, you have this Ghost in the Darkness sniper battle at the end of it, where Kraven has to take out his father for some reason, the original Kraven the Hunter.
I mean, that would have been pretty cool.
I just don't know what you do otherwise, because you have this character who's hunting mobsters and drug dealers and people who kill animals, of which his father is the biggest culprit of it in the film.
Well, and here's the thing. It's actually interesting, because Jonathan and I didn't hate this movie. Like, we were moderately entertained.
It checks a couple boxes.
Yeah, we did. We went in having heard, it's important to go into it, like, making fun of it. So I feel like we talked more in this movie than we usually do. And in fact,
it was empty theater.
It was literally just the two of us in it. So we openly talked. I made points about where things were coming from in the middle of the movie. So Jonathan's not going to be shocked by any of this.
No.
And we usually, going back all the way to the first episode of Geekscape, in the past, we've tried not to talk openly about what we think and save it here. But I think we both know we didn't hate it and it was fine. But what's interesting is there's several comic characters in it, and every single one of them has aspects of the comic, comic accurate, and then aspects that are really off. And for the life of me, the reasons they change them don't make sense. The Kraven one, I guess it sort of makes sense. They want him to be an anti-hero. And I'm sorry, it's woke. Like, he'd never hunt animals. Instead, he's the savior of animals, and he loves.
But that character would have hunted his father, and it would have set up a fight with the original Kraven.
So that would have been interesting. But likewise, Chameleon has a lot of elements that are true to the comic.
Who's the Chameleon in the comics? He's Kraven's brother here, and
he's
in the
Kraven's half brother, just like that. From an affair, all those things. Thought of but it's and he's a villain, who takes on the appearance of victims, whatever else. But him being a mob boss, like they push very hard that he's sort of a coward in terms of getting physical for a while in the comics. I mean, it's evolved.
And in this movie, he's protected by his brother, and that's why his brother gets attacked by the lion. And I actually like the relationship between the two brothers.
Yeah, I was fine with that. They changed a lot. And Rhino is the one that bothered me the most.
Okay, so the big villain is Rhino, who's just a big idiot thug stuck in a rhino suit in the comics, and he's a lot of fun. But here, he's a guy who like hulks into the rhino.
He hulks into it, and he's a mob boss.
He's
and like a thinker, which is weird. Except then when he does more, he's more like classic Rhino. So I don't know. It's like almost like, all right, let's forget who the character is. You know,
it reminds me of the note that Guillermo del Toro got when he was developing Hellboy. When somebody said, "What if he just turns into Hellboy?" Have you heard this story? What if he just turns into Hellboy when he's angry? And Guillermo del Toro was like, "Then that's not Hellboy. He's the Hulk. Like that. The Hellboy is Hellboy all the time. He's been summoned as a demon. He's Hellboy all the time." This take on the Rhino, what I love about the original Rhino in the comics is the Kingpin hires him, or he's part of the Sinister Six, and somebody smarter like the Vulture gets him, or Green Goblin gets him to join the Sinister Six, or Doc Ock. The smarter bad guys, they get him as like the muscle, and he's an idiot who stuck himself in a rhino suit, and now he can't get out. And I was like, okay, I like that. In this, he's somebody with a blood deficiency who, when he goes to get a cure, it makes his body rock hard, and he hulks out, and he becomes a rhino by the end of the movie. I don't understand why he grew horns. Was this stuff siphoned from rhino blood? I don't get what this is. Does he look like the Rhino? No, he needs to be bigger. He needs to be almost Juggernaut size when he's it. That's what I like about Deadpool 2. Is
early in the movie when he morphed a little bit, he didn't get bigger, but then later, at least he got bigger.
No, he had a small waist. He probably wore a size 32 pants.
I mean, whatever, CGI. You know,
he looked a little top heavy.
Definitely weird.
The Rhino I like is the one stuck in the suit. Even the Paul Giamatti Amazing Spider-Man 2 tag, where he's the mechanized Rhino you saw later in the comics and some of the video games. I don't mind the mechanized Rhino. It's still an angry Russian dude in a suit, in a Rhino suit. What are the other iterations of the Rhino in the comics? He's not the only iteration of the Rhino, the original one. There was a later one, right?
I mean,
I thought there were two iterations.
The Alexei Rhino's been like the main Rhino. He still is. You know, he still is. He's been. I mean, they never got rid of him. It's not like Electro, where they have a female Electro also, or Scorpion. They did Scorpia. You know, they even did a Doc Ock, a girl Doc Ock. For some reason, they did female ones of almost all of them. Yeah, well, female Beetle, yes, but at least she's a little more distinctive.
And it's kind of cool. It's Tombstone's daughter. It's cool. Yeah. She wants to be a crime boss. So in this movie, let's check the Sinister Six that we've got so far, because surprisingly, there's actually.
By the way, what we left out is, and honestly, for me, the most interesting character they did, is they only do by reference, is Miles Warren.
Okay, but we're skipping Calypso. But we need to talk about Calypso because she's actually a major part of this movie.
Yeah, and she's another example of, I don't know why they changed her. Like, she kind of has voodoo powers because she does the potion, but they only kind of tease it. And then she's a lawyer.
In the comics,
she has all these underworld connections. And
who is she in the comics?
She's a voodoo person who helps Kraven, and sometimes they're romantically involved, and she helps him with potions, and this was weird.
And in this, she's a little girl who witnesses the little kid Kraven get attacked by the lion. And while he's on his deathbed in the jungle about to get rescued, she takes a potion given to her by her grandmother and pours it onto him. And the lion blood hits at the same time. And that's why he got the lion powers. And the little voodoo juice saved him. She claims to not be able to replicate it as an adult. Now she's a lawyer. She helps find the crime bosses for Kraven to take out. She helps kind of like be his like fixer. She's susceptible to being conned. You've learned that in the movie when she walks Kraven right into a trap. And
I felt like they could have done a better job of bringing them together, but suddenly they're just thrust together because the bad guys are coming to kill her, and now they're off and she's with him and it's fine. It's like, they're like, really? Like,
he takes her to the Crave Cave. Takes her to the place in Russia where he's built a dome where when you push a button, that's the only thing on the desk. You push a button, all the Kraven weapons are coming down. They don't
because it has to look like a bat cave because it's
dramatically come down.
Every single thing opens at the same time because that's what you would do, right?
No, I wish they opened up at the same time. They opened dramatically one, then the next. Then the next. What if you wanted the one on the last one?
Yeah, well, that and my point is like if you're going to build the thing, you know where your weapons are, and hit a thing for that one, hit a thing for that one. No, I'm going to hit it. So that's all. It's like a showcase.
What if like there's you
I was looking for his action figures.
You got to put all that shit back. The Crave Cave was pretty silly because there's establishing shots of it in the tree line, and then the bad guys are going to kill Kraven later on. They know where he is because he's used a dart that has a poison in it that only grows from a flower in one part of the world. So they now know where Kraven lives. He lives in this part of Russia. So they go to find him
because the Rhino's Batman.
And so later when they go to find him, you got these fuckers in the Russian woods. And I swear Geekscape is we liked this movie. We enjoyed it. You got these guys in the woods looking for the Kraven. And there's establishing shots of, you can see clear as day the Crave Cave. Later, they start firebombing from a helicopter the woods, but at no point, knowing that they had a fucking helicopter, could they see the Crave Cave from the sky? Everybody could see the Crave Cave. You can see the Crave Cave from a mile away. It's a giant dome in the forest.
I don't get it. And by the way, can we talk about
zip line into the Crave Cave?
There's one moment in the movie where Jonathan and I get really worried. Well, they do this establishing thing where Rhino has a dog, and we get really worried for the dog. But then later, he brings the dog with him to like help hunt. And you actually see initially he's there. Then the Rhino's like running off. And we don't know what happened to the dog.
You never see the dog in the movie again.
Where's the dog?
The dog. The end of the movie should be Kraven being like, "Man, that was quite the fight with the Rhino," and he comes home, kicks his feet up, and the dog's in his lap.
That's right. Then that's the hero shot.
The end of the movie should have been Kraven with the Rhino's dog, because that's that scene, right? Where you think the Rhino's gonna like kill the dog. He's like, oh, and you're like, oh man, they're gonna only show that he's a bad guy. He kills a fucking dog.
Right.
He never kills the dog. He always sicks the dog. The dog runs off screen. The dog doesn't do anything.
And I don't want to see the dog die, but I want to see the dog's okay.
But I think Kraven ends up with the dog.
I agree.
I think
either that or the tiger ate it.
There is it's not a tiger. I think that's a snow leopard. There was a giant spotted snow leopard.
Sure.
Siberian snow leopard that wrestles with Kraven, but isn't Kraven's familiar. It should have been. Well, at the end, yeah.
I think, and in one of the video games, he has that snow leopard. And it's called Dima. You know, she named after the brother. So I don't.
That's an Easter egg for the fans.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we haven't gotten to Miles Warren yet, who's only referenced in the movie, but the Foreigner is he just comes out of nowhere. I don't understand why the Foreigner entered this movie. I don't understand other than to add a complication in a fight the Foreigners in the movie. From the comics, tell me who's the Foreigner, because I don't know this character.
The Foreigner popped up. I think it was Michelini's run in the mid '80s, in like around the 250s of Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
And is in the book for a while. And in fact, the Foreigner at one point is married to Silver Sable.
Who is the Foreigner? What's his power?
He's an assassin, and he can sort of hypnotize people, and when he kills them. So it's pretty similar to this. And what was interesting, so they name drop. I mean, this is what I don't want to say. I don't know if I like this or not, but I did think it was cool since Sony's trying to exploit these Spiderverse characters, these Spider-Man, comic book characters, they threw a lot of them into this movie.
They threw 6 of them.
So, because there's also, he references Hitman. You see a headline that Kraven killed his mentor, and it says Hunter versus Hitman. And there is a character called the Hitman who sort of goes up against Punisher in the comics a bit.
Okay.
And henceforth Spider-Man. So it's another throwaway line of another character.
But the Foreigner was in love with the Hitman as his mentor, and so now he has he wants to kill. He has a mission. He has to kill Kraven, and he gets close. Then he gets an arrow through his eye, so now he can't hypnotize, because we know that the lawyer, who is Calypso, who sometimes does voodoo on the side to make potions, is also a master archery person.
Right.
Archer. Oh my God. The movie's messy, folks. The movie's very messy, but Ian and I still enjoyed it. Ian, did you enjoy this movie because you saw it with me? We were talking through the whole thing and we were laughing. Or do you think this is actually an okay movie?
I think it's an okay movie. You know, listen, there are movies like The Spirit that
Spirit
are more enjoyable because we watched something together that was bad. But you know what? Honestly, we didn't even fully Mystery Science 3000 this movie. Like we had little comments here and there, but it wasn't full on pan.
No, there were a couple places where I was like, "Wait, why'd that happen? Wait,
right.
why did they see the Crave Cave from above? Wait, why? Who's that character?" And then you explain the character to me. But I kind of respect that they took the toy box, turned it upside down, and shook it out a little bit on some of this. And I wish that we'd done that a little bit more in the Sony Spiderverse. But they did it
what
here.
I'm saying. I think it's kind of cool that they by referencing all these characters, I feel like, okay, this is a full universe. You know, they're in the sandbox. Let's fucking play. You know, I thought that was a cool thing. You know, the other movies didn't do that enough, honestly. I mean, obviously we want the spider, but you know, but at least you were showing a fully realized universe. I mean, you know, there's nothing to say Spider-Man doesn't exist.
Well, Tom Hardy told you it existed in the first Venom when he says that he had a problem with a photographer back in New York.
They don't definitively say it, but they imply it. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we thought that, you know.
So one of the characters that they reference, Ian, because when you first see him in the movie on that first hunt where young Kraven gets attacked by the lion, he's trying to curry favor with older, I'm just going to call him older Kraven, with Russell Crowe's character. He wants to be part of the mob that he's a part of. He wants to be part of his crew. And the older Kraven says, "Buzz off, you're a weakling." And he is a weakling. He has like a little pouch that he carries with him because he has a blood issue. And he's holding him back and he's slow. And for some reason he's on this safari just to try and work his in with Kraven Singer, who's I don't know the name of the character. So he's Kraven Singer in my book. He says later, now that he's turned into this rhino character, that he went to New York and there was a scientist named Miles Warren, who you find out later in the last scene of the movie or so, that Kraven's brother also goes to see him and he gets the chameleon-ish powers. But the scientist he name drops is Miles Warren. Who the heck is Miles Warren in the comics, Ian?
The Jackal.
Why is he important beyond his very beautiful mustache?
So
tell us in the comics.
The Jackal basically it was the brother of Peter's science teacher in high school, and he's his science teacher in college, who falls in love with Gwen Stacy, Peter's girlfriend, and clones both her and Peter for some reason. You know, I mean, he cloned Gwen. You get it because Gwen died. Right. You know, so there's a clone, but then he also clones Peter, and that clone, you know, the original clone story is in like issue like 141 and 149 of Amazing, and seemingly the clone died and goes off, and you know, Spider-Man throws into a smokestack because that's not weird and creepy, whatever, leaves the body. But then apparently that person went off out into the world, and there were apparently more than one. So there's that body becomes Ben Reilly. There's also the Kane Parker first clone that was a little more messed up and a little bigger, and its powers are more of an acid touch. So it's like the Mark of Kane originally in the storyline. For a while, due to some machinations of Green Goblin, they ended up, when the clone came back, they believed that the person that was running around as Peter for all the years that the clone was gone was actually the clone, and the one that went away was the real one, and he took over for a while. But then they found that, oh no, actually the Ben Reilly one who always was the clone. But anyway, the Jackal seemingly died and come back a bunch of times and created giant clone stuff. So there's been the big clone saga, as well as, you know, he's popped up a bunch of times.
But the mid-90s is when you got the derided clone saga, which you just explained to us, and it's very convoluted. And
yeah,
the great thing that came out of the clone saga Geekscape was that amazing, beautiful Ben Reilly costume. That's a cool costume with the blue and this and that. And then like the hoodie, the Scarlet Spider costume.
Yeah.
The Kane stuff I never really got into, like you said, like
so Kane is the current Scarlet Spider.
Yeah.
Because Kane was a bad guy, ultimately, yeah.
Because Riley's like Chasm or whatever his name is.
So he's gone crazy. and he's lost some
Yeah.
of his memories.
He's been
And
corrupted by Madeline Pryor. Like it got really. They can't.
it
I
wasn't
don't think.
Madeline's fault actually, but anyway.
Right, but I don't think they can figure out what's up with. I don't know. I don't know if anybody can tell a good Ben Reilly story.
I mean, it's weird. I mean, having his girlfriend's Hallows Eve, and
But that stuff came out of the
he's in the
90s.
Blood Hunters.
But that was a Clone Saga in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, the Jackal was a villain from the 60s, 70s, no? In the Miles
Jackal
Turner
is a
stuff?
villain with the original Clone Saga.
Right. And when was that?
I
What
mean,
year was
first
that?
popped up. You have the Jackal first appearance is actually 129 with Punisher.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a famous cover, man. When you see
Yeah.
Spider-Man in his sights, that's a famous cover. Okay, so those are the characters that are listed in this movie. The movie is okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was entertained. There's some decent action in there. You know.
Actually, I think the prison sequence was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The opening prison sequence was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
I think that stuff was great. This director has actually made some really good films. Like this guy, I got to tell you, this director, J.C. Chandor, like he made, I think, a pretty good movie that was, I think it went to streaming, so it was a little bit overlooked, but it was Triple Frontier. It had like Ben Affleck and Pedro Pascal and a bunch of these guys as like paramilitary. He did
I didn't see
this
it.
one. This one was actually like Robert Redford, All Is Lost, where he's lost at sea. That one had a bit of critical acclaim. I remember that helped him get on the scene. And then a movie I really he did Margin Call. He also did A Most Violent Year, which was another movie. I know that Oscar Isaac's in. I think he's in Triple Frontier, but Oscar Isaac, Jessica Chastain, and David Oyelowo are in this A Most Violent Year, and where it's kind of like she's married to a guy who's slowly getting into the mob. Oscar Isaac. I thought it was a good drama. 1981, ambitious immigrant fights to protect his business and family during the most dangerous year in the city's history. Like, that's a pretty good, like, mobstery period piece. The guy's a good filmmaker. He ends up with this Kraven the Hunter. I think he takes material that was okay, not bad material, and he actually, I think,
it's
elevated
not badly
it
directed at all. And I'm saying
right.
it's not a hack movie. It's a decent movie. I mean, at the end of the day, the problem is that I think Sony's finally realizing is no one's asking for these movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's the days of, oh, it's a comic movie, so people will just go, you know? I mean, yeah, I went because, you know, listen, you know, we had this conversation a bunch about some of the Marvel shows, you know, like I look at it from a publishing standpoint of comics. There's the comics that a lot of people buy, and there's comics only some people buy, you know? Yeah. And that appeal to only some people. And, you know, I mean, when there's been a Kraven book, it was the kid, you know, his son, whatever else we talked about earlier, I bought it. It wasn't a huge seller, but I liked it. You know, it was a good book. You know, I mean, I'll read it. I'm interested. I want to see what they do with the characters, you know?
But you're above and beyond as far as a comic book fan goes, right?
Well, listen, it's like doing, you know, the Deadly Foes of Spider-Man miniseries. You know, where you actually see like what's going on with, you know, in the lives of some of these villains that have made up the Sinister Six. You know, okay, it's interesting. I like that as a comic. I don't need that movie.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I don't think the layperson. I think the layperson's here for Avengers: Infinity War. They're not necessarily here for Kraven the Hunter.
And listen, in the same way, I mean, without talking about these days, but in the earlier Marvel movies, you know, Captain America, the first Avenger, the first Captain America, only did okay.
Yeah. The first order only did okay.
Yeah, it only did okay, right? Like, you know, and then what you started getting was you'd have Ant-Man. I mean, so you'd have Avengers, and then you'd have Ant-Man and Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange didn't do $1 billion, you know? Right. But there wasn't an expectation, but it was profitable and it set up the characters.
And how many people asked themselves, who are the Guardians of the Galaxy when that movie got greenlit?
Well, the thing is, but Guardians, first of all, it was a really good movie, and it did hit at the point where I remember when it was being developed, it was like, I didn't know who was going to go see it. But at that point, people were on the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
So it got a lot of eyeballs, you know? You know, but I think this Sony Spider-Villain verse thing was ill-conceived from the get-go. We've said it all along. I mean, Venom did well. Venom had a bigger First of all, Venom came out at a good time, and Venom's a much more well-known character, and Venom as a movie has a campiness to it.
Sure.
You know, that plays in a certain kind of cool, messed up way, you know?
Sure.
But look, here's the thing. You look at the 3 Venom movies, and every one did worse than the one before.
Right.
And yes, this latest one made money, but half what the first one did, something like that, right?
So, Ian, we've talked about The Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
A movie you enjoyed. You're glad it's there. When you go buy these movies on Blu-ray and you put them proudly on your shelf, you stop this. No, you're going to do it.
I'm not going to do it.
When Ian enters the Krav Maga cave, when Ian goes into his man cave with the statues and everything,
I'm in my man cave,
and you clear the space for the 6 entries of the
There's no space for that.
first. There's going to be space. Stop this. All right, it's right next to your copies of She-Hulk. So look,
no,
I like She-Hulk. So listen,
I have my Hot Toys.
Right there. There's an empty shelf right there, Ian. You can put it right there.
I have Hot Toys. I have Hot Toys. I haven't unboxed yet that are going there.
You're reserving it for the Spider-Man Sonyverse. Okay, all that to say, what is your ranking of the Sony live-action Spider-Verse films?
It's hard because they all are kind of lacking. I mean, obviously Venom did the best. Is Venom the best of them?
I think I hear your spider sense going off.
No, it's a truck outside. Okay. Is Venom the best of them? The first Venom? Maybe.
Can you do it can you rank on enjoyability? Repeatability. When you have all 6 of them on the shelf right there where you kept space for them?
I'm not going to rewatch it, but
stop.
So let me say this. I think this is probably the best made of all 6.
Oh, damn.
Kraven. I think so. Maybe Venom comes ahead of that. The first Venom.
Okay, we're going somewhere. Okay, here now we're cooking. All right. So, in the Spider-Verse Sony rankings, let's start at what's the one that you liked the least?
I mean,
what's the one that you enjoyed the least? I have mine.
You gotta say Madam Web.
It's Venom 3.
Yeah, it was between Madam Web and Venom 3.
Yeah, for me it's Venom 3. Venom 3 was fuck, man. I'm glad you guys were there for that. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty bad.
As Reese Evans says in the movie, motherfucker.
And we were together for Venom 2 also, and that was pretty bad.
Yeah, but Woody Harrelson's fun to watch. I think that some of the stuff that Andy Serkis did as a director was okay. Like there was no dance sequence, man. This thing wasn't like off the rails,
so
just
silly,
balloony. Like
so damn silly.
So Ian, as far as I'm concerned, I'm putting Venom 3, Venom the Last Dance. That's my number 6. It doesn't have to be your number 6.
No. I see that. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close for me. Okay, and then what? So what's your 5?
Okay. I'm gonna put my damn Web. I have to emphasize damn. I'm gonna put Madam Web in number.
I was wondering because if you had gone any higher with Madam Web, Christian Blatt would have had a real problem with you because you're almost
Christian Blatt has plenty of problems with me. He doesn't need another reason.
Okay,
that's all right, fair. Christian, you know how to find me. All right, Blatt. I went 10 years without talking to Blatt, and now he's all over the network. So I brought him. It was Blatt's last hunt, and I brought him back from the grave.
Is that right?
Yeah, I resuscitated that guy.
Okay.
And I'm glad he's here, but he better not come at me. I almost put Venom 2 here because
you can see that
it annoyed me, the ending and all that stuff. It was a little too much. But in all honesty, it's Madam Web, and a part of me, just because I think I think that first off they got the villain wrong.
So wrong.
It's crazy that it's Ezekiel.
Yeah, it's crazy Ezekiel, and it's just evil Spider-Man. So you're not going to use Spider-Man, and moreover, proto Spider-Man. You know,
the villain
it's like
should have been.
There's so much about that I didn't like.
The villain should have been. What's his ass? Dracula. Morlun.
Yeah.
Because if you have a Morlun villain, hunting down spider totem adjacent characters.
Exactly. The story's there.
It ties straight to Morbius,
absolutely,
who's also a vampire. All this stuff should have been very easily connected.
And for me, it's like, so you're doing Spider-Man straight up, but bad without doing Spider-Man.
I wouldn't have put Uncle Ben in the movie. I wouldn't put Uncle Ben in the movie. I would have put any of them in the movie. I would not have put any of that stuff in the movie. I would have had Madame Web trying to protect these kids from. They would have been in this event that gives them spiderish powers, and they would have been chased by Morlun through the film, and Marco Morbius would have been a resource for them.
It also bothers me that you did all these other characters. They're all older than Peter. I got a real problem when Spider-Man is like the last Spider. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, as far as Silk's concerned, he is. He's come out after Silk, but Silk was kept in a lock.
They got bit by this at the same time.
That's what I'm saying.
So he doesn't come after. They were classmates.
Okay, so I'm going to put Madame Web there because, I mean, I honestly really don't like Venom 3 because the Null stuff is like, that didn't matter at all.
Well, what really pissed me off is all Venom 3 is a prelude to the movie you think it's going to be. Like they open up with the prologue, and then at the end, so we didn't even get this movie. It was just set up for a movie. And by the way, and that movie is really like, it's like you actually want to do a bigger thing. Like, what do you think is going to happen that, Marvel's going to go, oh, this is a great idea. Let's make that movie.
Yeah. Never.
Let's do a giant Avengers, King of Black movie.
After a closure montage? No. There should have been Venom 3 should have been King of Black. Yeah. Venom 3 should have been King in Black. It should have been a combination of all these characters.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it should have had Kraven in it. Should have had more all these characters in it. Like King of Black should have been these anti-heroes saving New York City or saving the world or whatever. Okay, so we got
that's what the thing is. I think their thinking was they've set up King of Black, and now if their universe did continue, they could bring them all together.
No, you don't get that much current. You don't get that much goodwill, pals.
And by the way, and all that is, and by the way, well, let's call this out. All that is so then they were going to make the Suicide Squad that didn't do well the first one,
right? No, you don't get that. No, you guys came out of Venom with a lot of goodwill. It got spent very fast.
Very fast.
Okay, so we got 6 is Venom 3 for me. Okay. Doesn't have to be yours.
I don't care.
5. Boy, is that the truth? 5 is a Madame Web. 4. What is your fourth? Number 4 on your.
So again, this is debatable, right? But I think that the second Venom, it's fine. Yeah, you're right. Woody Harrelson's decent in it. But, I don't hate Morbius as much as, I saw Morbius. I don't never need to see it again, but I remember going, it's fine. There's no reason for that movie to exist. But the worst thing about that movie is some goofy stuff that Matt Smith does. But I love Matt Smith.
Yeah.
So Matt Smith being goofy is still fun.
Okay.
With his super push-ups and all that. I was like, you know what? Okay, I don't care. I was entertained in that movie. I'm never going to watch it again, but I was entertained. So I feel like I still had a better time in that movie than I did the second Venom.
Okay. So you're putting okay.
I think I'm going to go Venom 2 and then Morbius. But again, I got to be really clear. I don't really give a shit.
You need to give a shit in here.
I'm just saying, like me ranking these, it's like, we're splitting hairs.
Okay, so now you got Morbius is number 3.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna put Kraven behind Venom.
Okay. All right. I'm just writing these down. So that I can.
But I don't really care. I could be convinced.
You care, dude.
No.
You have to care. I need you to care.
I don't. No.
All right.
No.
Hold on. I'm writing these rankings up. You're gonna put them on the because I'm gonna put them on the screen because people need to know what you've done.
I didn't do anything. You made me do it. Let's be clear. You made me go.
I did. That Saturday, I was like, no, dude, we're going today. I do not want to push this off anymore. Let it be very clear.
I'm not mad at you for it because I was entertained, but
absolutely.
I don't feel bad for having seen it. I'm glad I saw it on the big screen. I feel like I said this to you. Madame Web, I didn't see in the theater. You made me watch it, but and I don't hate you for that either.
Yeah, but you would have hated me for seeing it in the theater.
Maybe, but I'm just saying, a part of me feels like, okay, I gave this movie its due. I went and saw it in the theater,
Okay. Like, all right, here we are, Geekscapists. I've got this ranking. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Let's be very clear. Ian loves each and every one of these movies. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let me figure out how to do. All right, here we go. Ian, please stop tapping on your keyboards. This is Ian's rankings right here.
Hey, I'm actually getting grief right now. I said I was doing the podcast, and I'm getting grief that I paid money to see the movie.
Okay.
I'm defending myself.
Venom #1, a movie that was not fun for me.
It was not good.
Craven, a movie that was fun for me. I'm going to put Kraven.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Here's the best thing about the first Venom.
I'm going to put Venom 3.
Wait. In the middle of the first Venom, towards the end, really, you actually have a main character apologize to the movie.
Okay.
Michelle Williams says, "I'm sorry about Venom." And for me, that was like, it's the most meta line maybe ever.
Uh-huh. Okay, Ian's rankings. That's it right here. All right, I'm making a new graphic. Very, very low budget graphic. All right. But Ian, the world needs this. And I'm going to tell you how mine is different, but yeah. Okay. So I think I have a little bit of difference at the top. All right.
Okay.
If anybody's still listening to this, here we go. Okay. Ian's ranking is Venom 1, #1. Kraven 2,
cares.
Morbius 3, Venom 2, Madam Web, Venom 3. I'm going to switch. I'm actually going to put Venom 1 at 3rd. I'm going to put Kraven at 2, and I'm going to put Morbius at #1.
Morbius above Kraven. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I had so much fun watching the Morbs. And it had Tyrese in it, and it was silly.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the ending. Amnesia.
No. You may have walked out and not seen. Did you see the end credit scene? I feel like you left.
What was the end credit scene? The
Vulture.
one with that was whatever.
In the desert. He comes down in the desert.
Yeah, I saw that.
First, you have him pop over, and then later you have him, come down the desert and meet up with Morbs.
Okay, with the Morbs.
I don't know how he found him. He just finds him in the middle of the desert.
Okay, I'm putting up.
You're right. That should be #1.
Okay, so yeah, I'm swapping this out. Here we go. I'm going out like this. I'm gonna swap out the rankings to reflect mine. I know that nobody cares at this point. Let's see. But I think this is important for posterity. Here is my rankings on screen. Jonathan's rankings of the Spiderverse films right here. Morbius is #1. Morbius, #1, baby. Okay. We got Morbius #1, Kraven #2, Venom #3, Venom 2 #4, Madam Web #5, and Venom 3. So
all right,
that's my rankings right there. I'm going Morbius is #1 for me.
Okay.
Ian, could we have shaken my audience any more than we just did?
Again, I'm curious. I'm actually curious to see what your audience thinks. I don't think they care.
Ian, my friend, what am I going to see you next?
I don't know. You want to talk What If? You want to talk
What If, dude?
You want to talk Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew. What If? We've got. I think we got some more going on beyond that. I listed something else in the.
Do we get a new Skeleton Crew episode tomorrow night, Christmas Eve?
Yep.
Is that what Santa's bringing us?
And we got Creature Commandos.
I love Creature Commandos.
It's great. I'm so glad it got renewed.
Are you caught up?
All caught up, baby. Fucking I texted
Weasel,
you as
man.
much.
Fucking
love Weasel. The Weasel episode 4. Love it. Who's episode 5? Do you believe? You think we're gonna get Fish Girl?
Yeah, probably. We'll get Nina Mazursky. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Geekscapists, you need to be watching this show too, Geekscapists. I want you watching Creature Commandos. I want you watching The Skeleton Crew. I want you watching What If Season 3, because What If to me is like the unsung gem of the Marvel Disney Plus stuff.
They've been really good.
They've been great. And I don't know if you liked the first episode. I thought the first episode was cool.
I didn't watch it.
Bro, I thought the second episode.
Yeah, Agatha Goes to Hollywood. I'm looking forward to it.
Agatha Goes to Hollywood.
Yeah,
I'll great.
I'll watch them in the next day or so.
Okay,
I'd rather watch them day to day than just binging them.
I would rather not watch them at 3 a.m., but my brain don't work otherwise.
But I'm saying I'd rather watch one at a time, and burning them off this way. They did the same thing with season 2.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching them.
Weird to me.
I don't mind them being once a day. Because it's fun. It's something to do.
I don't understand the thinking of this.
I think it's okay because I'm not working as much as I do during the year.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe they feel like it's, and there's an audience for it.
No offense to Heidi's family, but like last year we were at our parents' house in South Carolina, and it was like fun to get like 30 minutes away each day to like watch my
What If. offended for them.
They were fine without me. They were like, go watch your What If, little boy.
No, I can see that.
But I'm enjoying, I wake up with insomnia at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, do I get a new What If? And I got
honestly, I've been waking up too, and I should go watch something.
Dude, Ian, you got to watch the What If. In this episode with Agatha, it's not just an Agatha episode. They bring back one of my favorite.
All right, enough. Stop. You would be upset if I was doing this to you. I would watch it.
You know who else is in the episode?
I don't.
Okay, cool.
I know nothing.
Awesome.
I'm like Jon Snow.
Awesome. They're bringing back one of my Marvel franchises that missed in the theaters.
All I'll say is
here.
The What If stuff has been really good.
Yeah. All right, man. Geekscape, you know where to find us. Geekscape.net. Geekscape podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation or are still here somehow, share us with your friends. All right, we got more stuff coming. Obviously, not just conversation with Ian. We got other creators coming. They're already lining up for 2025.
Maybe they want more conversations with me. You don't know.
Oh, they're gonna get it. Don't you sweat. We got your mic working. It's gonna be great.
Yep.
So you know what to do. Subscribe, share with your friends, and we got tons more coming. Geekscape. You email me at jonathan@geekscape.net with your ranking of the Spider-Man list, Spiderverse films, and more. All right. Thanks, Ian.
Sure.
Don't hate, create. Peace, everybody. Bye.
Bye.